Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Organic Chemistry on YouTube. Today, we're going to talk about the hydroboration of alkynes to aldehydes. This reaction starts with a terminal alkyne. It has to be a terminal alkyne to get the aldehyde. Otherwise, you'll get only the ketone. This reaction produces an aldehyde through an enol intermediate. So as you might guess by now, there's going to be a tautomerization. And this reaction has a similar mechanism to that as alkene hydroboration. So as such, we won't go through that mechanism in detail here. Instead, I'll just give you the most important intermediates and rearrangements that happen during this reaction. So here's an example reaction. We've got a terminal propyne that undergoes a reaction with a borane, followed with a second step with sodium hydroxide and hydrogen peroxide. This produces the aldehyde shown on the right. So like with the alkenes, this undergoes a concerted and syn addition preference for the borane onto the alkyne. In this case. The second step produces what's called superoxide through the reaction of hydrogen peroxide and sodium hydroxide, and overall is a very basic environment. Produce after treating this alkyne with the borane followed by these basic conditions is this intermediate right here. Okay, and then this, because you're in the presence of a strong base like sodium hydroxide, can undergo the enol keto tautomerization or isomerization reaction. Shown all as one step, the sodium hydroxide deprotonates the hydrogen, creates the carbon-oxygen double bond, and the nucleophilic and basic pi bond between the two carbons can deprotonate the hydrogen on water and kick those electrons back onto hydroxide, thus regenerating the catalyst and forming the product directly. Okay, so anytime you have a terminal alkyne in the presence of borane followed by sodium hydroxide and hydrogen peroxide, you end up with this aldehyde selectively because you're in basic conditions. Okay, and some questions you might want to ask in office hour. Is this reaction stereoselective in the way that the alkene hydroboration is? 2, does this reaction favor the aldehyde over the ketone? 2, why does this reaction favor the aldehyde over the ketone? With that, that's been Organic Chemistry in 5 minutes or less. Thanks for tuning in.